Good evening, everyone. My name is Nguyễn Khiêm, contractor of AIA in Vietnam and a founder of LaPerle Architecture. I'm honored to be here in Singapore to be your moderator for today's event. So, as some of you may know, the famous architect LaPerle once says, architecture is the learn of game, correct and magnificent of form assemblies in the light. He wanted to show how important the light is in the shaping the space. In today's talk, our speaker will share how lighting design, inspired by nature and improved by technology, can bring architecture into the future. Through four projects, Swan Lake Ecopark, Mason Headwater, Mai House Hội An, and the Imperial Palace of Huế, he will share how the light not only shape the building, but also preserve the culture and create a vision for the future. So without further ado, let's begin our event tonight with Mr. Yuki here, AIA President of International.
Hi, I've been invited to give a small speech because I understand that the Vietnamese audience will only tune in for this particular lecture. So, xin chào, good afternoon. I'm Yuki Cheong, the president of AIA International. Thank you everybody for making time for our event. I'd like to make three remarks, or rather share three remarks. First, the journey began when I came up to Ho Chi Minh in the summer of 2024 and signed an MOU with the Ho Chi Minh Association of Architects. I think it was a big step, and I'm so pleased to report that on our end, there was so much collaboration between HAA and AIA International, in particular our country rep in Vietnam, that you continue to support us by giving us audience, and more important, by coming for our Boston event in the Architecture 2025. So thank you very much. The second point I want to make is, I'm so very happy today. We have in person Kim and Dr. Tran representing Vietnam to actually be present in Singapore. I think this is a very important step considering that we are regional section, and it's so important that we do meet in face. And I also thank you for enabling us to have the hybrid situation where I understand there were more than 200 participants signed up from Vietnam, including AIA Ho Chi Minh Architect Association members, students members, and also our AIA members in Vietnam. So thank you very much, and have a good discussion, and I look forward to strengthening this relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yuki, for a great introduction. Now we move on the more important part of the events. Let me introduce Dr. Trần Văn Thành. Dr. Trần Văn Thành began his career as an architect before he pursued advanced study in lighting design. Earning degree in Germany and the UK Kingdom, he is the first Vietnamese certified lighting designer. His professional journey into major projects in Europe, such as Mercedes-Benz Museum in Germany and Baku Cultural Center. Upon return to Vietnam, he co-founded ASA Lighting Design Studio, which has since become one of the Southeast Asia leading practice with more than 20 years of experience creating bespoke solutions that seamlessly blend global expertise with local insight. So let's welcome Dr. Thành.
Good evening, everyone. Firstly, thank you, the organization AIA International and AIA South Asia, to allow me to sit in and present some of the interesting topic that I love to talk about is lighting. Actually, I'm trained as an architect as a very first background, and then I pursued lighting design as a further education. And I find that actually lighting is a very interesting part of architecture. And that's why I think today we have a very interesting hybrid situation of online and offline as well, a hybrid presentation talking about another topic that relates to architecture. So let me just start a screen, make sure everyone is seeing clear and hear me loud. So the talk today is a learning game, correct magnification of form assembly in line. It seems to be a bit very complex, and many of you that maybe recognize this is a quote from a famous French architect from the 60s, Le Corbusier. So I just want to borrow, I think one of the the quote that saying about how lighting and architecture actually have a very close relationship together to start our talk today. It's just a bit of introduction of what I'm doing in the past and what I'm currently doing right now. So I've been working internationally with some of the projects that work with light at the best. So like Kim just mentioned, Mr. Kim just mentioned, the Baku Center by Zahadi is one of the work that you see lighting and architecture become a masterpiece together. The other project that very interesting is the Mercedes-Benz Museum as well, have a very complex shape as well. You need to deal with the individual masterpiece, which is the car, of different periods, of different history. It's very complex story. And recently in Asia, we have done a lot of other projects. Like this one is office tower in Vietnam, but you see this kind of little pattern representing the scale of a dragon. It's have a bit of red on it, and it's simulating the dragon ascending to the sky. See, very different context between different region, and lighting can be something interesting for architect to play with to enhance your project. For example, this is a resort that we're doing. Another project is that we currently doing is the Armani project in Middle East, which is very different atmosphere. You see the sky is have different kind of shade and tone. So just go back to our talk today. We're gonna walk you through the some of the key projects that we think lighting have potential to do something interesting. I take the quote from Le Corbusier, but actually I want to show you, or I want to introduce you to one of his friends, is Lucien Herves. He's a photographer, and he's famous because he took a lot of photo of Le Corbusier work in a very different kind of angle and show a very different impression about building. He wants to show how architecture and lighting, in how relationship of geometric composition focused on space, texture, and structure. For example, you can see this photo is for a famous project from Le Corbusier, the Rongcham Cathedral. But actually, what you see here, like exactly what Le Corbusier called, let's say the assembly of form, the game of form playing in lighting, or the other reference as the photographer taken, that you see that light here, it actually deconstruct the space. The other photo, you say light have to construct the space, but this one, light has tried to deconstruct the space, and your perception of building and space is very different to the actual physics present of the building. Or the other building, the other photo actually, you see here, it's nothing about the building, it's about human, it's about emotion. And you see that lighting take the building to a next level that express emotion, express the response of people together with the space they are living. So I just want to prove that the lighting is actually one of the very potential ingredient or formula or component of element architecture that you should think about, and you can use that to spice up or enhance the architecture. But this photo, of the course of Le Corbusier is still correct at the modern time, when we have a lot of, you see the photo taken in the kind of natural situation. How about today, when we have control of artificial light, we talk about AI, we talk about imagination, we talk about a lot of things that are going on in the virtual reality space. I just want to show you some example. Like everyone coming to Rome, I think you flock into this building, the Pantheon in Rome, just try to get a photo of the sunlight going through the hall, through the main hall, and try to, appreciate that. And this building has been built, I think, 2,000 years ago. And then the very recent building that is very famous is the Louvre in Abu Dhabi, and built in 2017. And you see the people still flock into here and try to take a photo of the same shadow, the same sun. The two buildings has been built 2,000 years apart, but I think the interest of light in human is the same. And the potential of using light in architecture is still the same, right? So I think the conversation here is lighting still a fundamental element of space, of human being, of how life can be created and can be a part of your architectural design. So that's why I think Le Corbusier is right, and his quote is still very relevant today. Through this conversation, I just want to show you 4 projects that we have been done recently. And each of the projects have a very different aspect of how light can interact together with space and together with architecture and human response to it. So the first project is Swan Lake Ecopark resident. It's simply a complex of some condominium resident being built in the outskirts of Hanoi capital. So it's like a retreat space for people who want to stay away from the busy city, and we'll have easy, green, lusty, comfort, second home next to the city. And the architect have an idea of building a giant tree. The town is famous for being very green, a lot of tree, a lot of landscape. And you see the building is simulating like a giant tree, and we are as a human living industry, like the living insects kind of thing. That is the briefing we receive. And the town, they haven't done any facade lighting for the building before. But the client approached to us and say, we want to do a bit of lighting to this, but we want to preserve the impression of a green and sustainable space. So it's actually a challenge for it. You want the building to be a bit of visible and outstanding, but you want it to be harmonized with the rest. So how we do this and how we, try to bring the kind of identity, keep the identity of the building, as well as expressing the architecture of this new complex. So I still recall the other day we came in to see the side. This is the side. You see it's lusty, green. There's a lake in front of the project, and the project being built. Usually, lighting design being called in the late period. When everyone finishes everything, they just think about lighting. And that's an early morning. We wait for the meeting at 9 o'clock, and I arrived there about 8:30 something. I'm still looking at things, and suddenly I see this curve. Glittering of water, and it just happened 5 minutes. There's a wind coming, and then the sun just appear in the middle of nowhere, and then you see the sparkling on the water. I say, wow, that's amazing. It's something that inspiring me, and this contrast to you see this big block of concrete being built in background. I say, yeah, this can be something interesting. We don't have a static scheme that fixed or that associated with the building. We do something a bit organic, slightly the living, like we living in our wall. And this is just want to show you the proposal that we put together when we put the render together for the client. So we think about harmonized living between human, insects, and everyone together, and the apartment lighting can be part of the scheme. So you can have a bit of sparkling on all the building. The rooftop, because the client wanted, they want to identify, and they want each building have a different color, so they can call it like the orange, the pink, whatever, right? And you see, this is the final result. I think it's turned out quite nicely. So the thing here is that actually lighting, the idea of having this kind of lighting don't need to associate with architecture. I think we just take the inspiration that is a giant tree that everyone living together, and we try to elaborate that and create another image that nice scape for the building. The other project that I would like to walk you through is the Masan headquarters. This building is an office building located in the central city. The architecture, the architecture designed by Foster and Partner. The interior is by a Australian firm called Dark Horse by Ho Chi Minh City. You see the building construct of two parts. The lower part is a bank, and the upper part is the Masan Corporation, who is the owner of the bank. It's a big group of multi-business company. So we are tasked to do the interior of lighting of the upper part of the Masan headquarters. And this is the real life photo. You see the below part is the bank, and the upper part have a bit of very different, interesting lighting, a bit of bluish on this. So I just, usually show the client and say, if you don't have a proper lighting design, you have something reality like a low part. If you hire a lighting design, you can have a dream building at the top. So we're building dreams with lighting. So this is the inside of that. You see a very kind of typical foster partner, layout with the open atrium that have communication and have visual connection to all the floor together. And this is the upper part when you have the Masan headquarters office. So the preface that actually the client, he liked the movie Star Wars a lot, and he prefers saying that I would like to have my office look like office of the future. You're working into the space, and I want to have a team of Star Wars, of a spaceship. So that's the brief. So how spaceship look like? I haven't been to a spaceship. I don't think that I'm going to be in a spaceship. So what's the kind of inspiration you can take from it? I think we're looking at movie, firstly Star Wars movie to understand, how the movie is, what it's about, how the impression, what kind of color, what kind of, space, how inside the spaceship look like. We're looking at all the movie which is more modern, like the Midnight Sky. And, we realize that in the future, maybe we have to deal with a lot of screen, a lot of computer screen about indicator information, things like that. And everything seamless integrate onto furniture, into the building. So I think, and because of that condition of working, maybe the light should be a bit bluish, a bit of more dim down, a bit of more personal, and need to be built in. So we also thinking that they got a lot of things running, like computer, like a lot of indicator. So this kind of inspiration that we took from the movie can be kind of, guideline for us to develop a lighting scheme for the space. And just want to have a bit of information regarding space, that they have an open plan space and flexible seating. So everyone have their own laptop. It's a big financial corporation, so everyone have a laptop. They bring in, they plug in, they log in their credential, and they can have their own thing. So it's not a fixed desktop. So that's why you see here is kind of very open space. And the lighting, we try to make it like a spaceship, a lot of panel lighting, all the light create a seamless lines. So it's not a dot, it's not a conventional look. It's something with feel of light, try to build in furniture, try to build in station. And you see on this portal, it's look like a screen that hanging, when you have the, we don't want to, create an impression of a real screen, I think that's too much. So it's a way to soften it, and you still have a feeling of it's some kind of screen. And the product actually named Portal. So I think it's something interesting to deal with, right? And so we can team up the whole space, and this is like a gathering space. You see this is the locker. I think pretty much look like you are in a spaceship. It's reception. This is the executive floor. When you have the meeting room, the boss room, you see lighting is very seamless and try to create everything. So this photo I took when the project's about to finish. And I just took this, saying, wow, without this worker that trying to do a plastering, it looked like, really like I'm in the spaceship already. Building a spaceship, right? So the, I think the implication here is that lighting can be something very interesting, like a tool for you. You see the difference between the lower building when they have very simple lighting, and the upper one, when they want to have something really different, and they're using light as a tool to build up that kind of team. You can team up, and the office of the future can be something interesting. It's not boring. This can be fun. It can be imaginative. So I think that is the story of the second project. And the third project I want to introduce to you. You see the color scheme is very different already. It's look more lively. It's more kind of playful. It's called Mai House Hội An. Mai House Hội An is a very ambitious project. They want to be a complex of hotel, 5 bedroom hotel. mixed together with the conference center and, a lot of F&B facility in the ground floor in the tower of Hội An. And I will tell you later why they have this cap shape, and they want to simulate a giant lantern. The architect is NBBJ from UK. And this is a 34 floor, 125-meter height. And it's a giant lantern. It's not a 3-meter lantern. It's 125-meter lantern. And they want this effect. And our job is to do this, right? If you happen to know Vietnam or travel to Vietnam, Hội An, an Asian town, and they're famous with lantern. So this building is situated by the beach, by the entrance to the town, not in the town, right? So it's got landmark. They say the idea is like to create a landmark saying that you're arriving at the town and we have something that relevant to it and a more contemporary expression in terms of architecture and lighting. And so we look at lantern, right? You see this is a simple lantern, 300 mil lantern. You have the shape, you have the frame, you have the fabric, and you have a light source inside. But to make it 125 is another story, right? We cannot have a giant light source that lit that up. And we don't have that fabric to cover. And we have to deal with fire safety as well, right? How it's burned, how it's, again, the winds, how the load structure, how the detail, you have to cut it in a small space. I think a lot of things we have to deal with. So we just, try to look in the basic of lantern, how it's gonna compose. Firstly, you have the frame. Secondly, you have the cover, which can be fabric. We can be, here we have a different situation, gonna be some kind of material, more than translucent material. And then you have the core line to make it glow. I think that these are the 3 components that compose and make things become a lantern. And we just take this principle, bring it into our building and see, what if we just show the structure? Or how about, we show the fabric? Or we just play around with these kind of translucent material and then the light source inside. There's many ways to express, to simulate a lantern. So we think about practicality, feasibility, how to lit up, how to locate the light source, to create an effect, different effect. And we also propose, so the first render is the architect impression, but this is more realistic what's happening, if we want to realize this project. The fourth approach is that we have a floodlight outside. You only see the skin, you only see this kind of fabric covering the building. The other strategy that we have something inside and need to be located in the ground. So when lit up, actually you see the structure inside. So it's the first structure, the first approach is outside and you see the surface. The second approach is you lit up inside and then you see the structure silhouette of that, right? And then the other option is that how about we because lit up the entire lantern, it's impossible. So we need to break it down, make it more feasible to human scale. How about we mount a video light on this frame and then we try lit it back and create a bit of action on the top of that. So it looks like there's a giant candle whatever then glowing in the top of the sky. And then how about instead of one light source, it's great, it's too big, it's too gigantic. We break it down into 1,000 of candles fly in the sky and try to lit it up. I think it can be something nice as well. Different kind of interpretation of the same idea of creating a candle. Or we make it more modern, instead of something glow and replacing the flame in the candle, it can be a dotty thing and you can run some dynamic content on it, kinetic and things. So it's a different approach to simulate the lantern. I just walk through again, you see, and then we combine as well 1 and 3, which means that outside we have a bit of flood and then inside a bit of glowing together. So we see the both of the effect. Or we can have a bit of combination between the outside floodlight and a bit of, candle flaming effect in the inside, or a bit of, 1 and 2 and 3 combined together. So this just to show you that lighting and architect can work very well together. You have a great idea and you think lighting can be one of the elements. The key element here is a lantern that, tell a story of architecture, and then lighting try to enhance and work together, create that image and bring that to life. So this is just some render that, we want to show the client about different options of what you can have with different approach when we try to create this project. Another project that I want to introduce is very different to what you have seen here. And this is the first time that we show this. We're very passionate to work on this project because it's part of my country and it's the first one-of-a-kind project that everyone have the chance to work with. It's called the Imperial Palace of Huế. So if you happen to know that Huế is the capital of the last dynasty of Vietnam, where you have all the king and queen palace, the royal palace. But as you see in the photo, most of them have been destroyed during the war. What you see here is just a citadel of emptiness of ruined building. And now we don't have that, the king queen anymore. And this become a tourist destination. And so they try to rebuild the palace. You can see here, this one remained, the gate remained. They have rebuilt the two buildings, which is the Thái Hòa Palace, and then it's the throne hall, and then the last palace, and at the end, at far end, is the King Trung Palace. And the prefix is that they want to become a tourist product, a nighttime tourist, to bring guests to come in, because this city, they have only 1 day tour. They just come in to see and they leave. They go to another city. They want to keep the guests staying in the city, spend money, explore and do something else and introduce a show inside. But we need to keep in mind, this is historic and we want to preserve this. We don't want to, degrade this and make it too commercial. So we have a task, a very contrast situation that we want to make it interesting to take guests come in, but at the same time, we want to keep these kind of glory of the past, and we should respect the architecture, respect the kind of the tradition of this, and then respect the building. So this is just want to show you the impression of the building, the 3 buildings that we're gonna work on. That this is the main gate to the citadel, have been renovated recently, and this is the main palace. After the gate, you will see the lake and the main palace. And this is the palace at the end. So it's have been built in the later stage. You see, integrate a bit of Western elements on this, right? So it's like French palace with Vietnamese decoration and elements on that. So they are very different, these 3 buildings. When we look at references, we try to go into that and look at what other people have done, right? The Imperial Palace, the citadel in Beijing, China, the Korean palace, the Japanese one, what they have done, how they bring tourists in and how to lift it off. So we have a comparison between the Forbidden City in Beijing, the Royal Palace in Korea, and then our palace. We realize one thing. You see, the photo will tell you that the Vietnamese one is very different. So you see here a lot of green landscape, and lusty. It's the same kind of architecture, but the context is very different. So we're looking we dig into the research, the study about the Vietnamese traditional architect. I think influenced by, most of the East Asia architect from Japan, from Korea, from China, but the setting, the landscape is very different. So it's a harmonized, kind of interconnect of heaven, earth, and human. I think that's the idea. So building and landscape woven together. So it's not the building alone. You look at the Forbidden City, like the building standing very curved, serious, formal, or the landscape in Korea is very different. Dry and harsh winter. So this is like tropical version, which is very different. So so how we do this? So we look at many ways to do this. Just so many things to look at this: architecture, landscape, detail, color. So we discovered that there's a lot of mirror painting inside the palace. They're also talking about restoring the interior, and you look at this mirror painting technique, actually very selective. So the artists try to just depict what's the best of the building, the scene of that scene. So that mountain, that water surface, that tree, that building. And this can be our inspiration or our guideline to lit up the building. So because actually the original lighting for the Asian Imperial Palace is nothing, it's only lantern. They haven't lit it up before. So we are the one who first time gonna lit this up in a modern way. And we try to integrate this kind of idea about heaven, human and nature and earth. So we think heaven, maybe the landscape is being the water and the green. The earth is the building, and then the people is the human. Is the how say human is like the activity. Maybe there's little lantern, little candle by the corner, but that simulate that this is not a museum. It's a space that you can walk in and interact with, and can immerse onto that space. That's the idea, right? So this is the 3 layer that we try to analyze. You have the heaven, which is the piece of tree and water we want to lit up, and then the palace, which is the earth, and then human is try dot and lantern and artificial elements that representing the human we want to bring in, and these are woven together, creating a layer of building. Look like the way they're creating this mirror painting. So these are the axis of guests coming. So the yellow one is the going through the whole palace. The green one that it can off road, they go to the other palace for music performance. On the right hand side is another one. They go into the little garden, the imperial garden. So this is the gate. So we look at this, and we try to combine and putting the ingredient together between the elements of heaven and earth, and which one is the main character, the main focus, and try to simulate that into a kind of way to lead it up. Also have to deal with we need to hide on the feature. We need to respect the architecture. We should not introduce anything artificial to this building, right? This is the main palace when we have the again heaven and earth. So we want to create a bit of distance because this is the main palace for the king. So you feel that is somewhere in the sky, end of your visual point. You cannot reach this, but it's in the cloud, kind of that thing. And the landscape just try to simulate very kind of lusty, old times, but at the same time inviting you to walk in. The use of blue color, try to accentuate and contrast with the orange that we highlight the royal palace at the end of that visual axis. And they have also winter time, so will be different scene. And lighting integrate until you see like this one integrate to a balustrade and recreate a bit of like lantern effect. This is a close-up of the palace. So they have this empty front court. So this is where all the Mandarin or all the officer gonna bow to the emperor before. But now if you keep it, it's just an empty place. It's a bit of, strange and cold. So we think maybe we can create a bit of carpet of light woven together, mixing between blue and orange, but look like there's a big carpet, covering this space. And this is a scene when they have kind of festy or kind of show. We can bring in some portable lanterns. It look like there's a party, there's a ceremony inside the palace. So this is the palace, the third palace that we have to lit up. You see here is Western design kind of influence, French architect, but a lot of decoration in Vietnamese style with like mosaic. And with that, it's very difficult to lit up or to integrate lighting onto this. And so we just try to find a way. Maybe we just representing the shape of the building and, try to get all the detail reviewed by itself instead of focus on the detail. So these are the render. This is the render of the three building together, create an axis for the guests to come in. So they can have a tour of the palace at nighttime, which is very different to a daytime kind of environment. So why I introduced this kind of, I think, restoration project, because I just want to say lighting does not only have the power to recreate your dream, but also can bring back the past to the present. So it can do something, very kind of magical, that reviving the old architecture, reviving the old glory, and bring it back to the contemporary kind of context. So the history of architecture is a struggle for life, also from Le Corbusier. So I want to end my presentation with this slide. Also from the Baku Control Center, you see form playing with light, magnificent, and how they create a beautiful space for everyone to enjoy, to live with. So hope you have a bit of inspiration from my talk about what light can do in different situations, and try to maximize the use of light in your project. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thành, for your very presentation. So we live from Singapore office. So we have one our audience here. So I have one audience, Brian. So can you tell about yourself? You have any question for speaker?
Yeah, I actually have a question for you. So I understand that you actually spent a lot of time abroad, right? So just wondering, what made you decide to bring your practice back to Vietnam? What kind of challenges you faced, and what's the differences between, having a practice abroad and coming back to Vietnam with your work?
Yeah. It's very interesting that I go global and I come back local, and now actually I'm going global again.
Yeah.
So I find that actually very interesting, because you learn something global and you think maybe it's not suitable for the local, and you try to do a lot of local thing. Actually, you realize that actually local have some value to bring abroad, and global also have some kind of value for you to learn from it. And I find that kind of experience for me is quite interesting. So what the reason why I want to go back to Vietnam, because I think at that time we do a lot of project everywhere, but I have no feeling. I'm doing a big palace in the Middle East for one of the king there, but you don't have a contact, you don't feel anything. I haven't been there to just try to do something. So I feel that no, I need to do a thing that I understand. I like a local thing that I get used to. I can touch, I can see, I can smell, I can feel it. That is more passionate for me to do, rather than doing something that very strange to me, foreign to me. But I think after that, then I learned to appreciate that beauty is everywhere. So now I work in India, I work in Middle East again. Then I like the render, when we create that render for the Midwest project, I say the team, the sky they're very different. You don't do blue sky. Need to be a bit of yellowish or violet tone. And actually I asked the team, you need to go to see the Dune movie. So you try to get that palette of color. That will be the situation over there. So I think the global outlook gives you the kind of international kind of mindset, very open mind to everything. But the local experiment give me the appreciation of beauty things come from the context. Yeah.
Thank you so much for I think that's very interesting.
Right. So Manan, you have a question?
No, it's always fascinates me because lighting gives more depth into the architecture itself. Getting hidden shadows into the surface, and it's yeah. So I think it's a skill by itself to be able to do that and try to have the lightings more alive, make the architecture alive more. So yeah, so hopefully we can work together in the future. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the alignment. Very nice.
So yeah, Manan is he's a AA president of Southeast Asia, and we live from his office in Singapore. So yeah, I can see some question from audience online. So the first one, what do you think of the lighting of the tower along the Da Nang beach?
So I'm not really sure how to say what topic or what kind of conversation that they want to ask. So maybe the audience wants me to give some kind of assessment on the current lighting over there. I think it's very difficult to judge something if you not study it properly. Like I just showed you, everything have their own thing, our context. So I think it's a bit of early assessment to give any comment to this kind of question. But I think it's important to have a planning together. Actually, we do one project, it's very famous in Vietnam, it's the Dragon Bridge. At that time, only the bridge, but now they build more bridge and all the bridge have lighting on it. And even me, I feel a bit too much when I see all the bridge have lighting and everything have color. So I always say, you need to have a plan. You need like master plan. Like in architecture, you have urban planning. You need to think about how it's gonna, one building is beautiful, but many building, have a beauty, how say in the same style, have a same colorful dynamic thing. It's too much. So need to have a bit of proper planning, right? I understand in Singapore you have some kind of master planning for the town, as well as you need to submit the lighting design for the council to review, so to make sure that everything work harmonize together, right?
Yeah, thank Dr. Thanh. And then the second question from audience, Miss Vân. So in recent year, what are some new technology in lighting that have enabled you to do the design idea you couldn't do before?
I think the world moving very fast. I think a lot of technology allow us to realize things, like say dream become true. Yeah, I think if we have been able to do many things that we haven't been done before. Yeah. So for example, if I now revisit that Mai House project with the lantern, I think we can do something very different with the modern technology.
And yeah, what is your take on the role of local culture setting context in your design, and how important is it?
For me, I think it's very important. As I already say that I've been working globally, and then I try to work locally, and now I go globally again. I think the local context is the key ingredient of the success of project, to make it different, to make it timeless, to make people who use it appreciate that and enjoy it. I think this also answers the next question: what does a successful lighting design look like? Actually, sometimes we're looking at our old project and say, we submit some project for a wall, for some kind of, a wall in the wall. But sometimes we feel that, this project is, we don't want to submit it. We don't feel it. It look good on the photo, but I think the real, how say, people living on it, they wouldn't like it. So already there's a bit of struggling between, shall we design building to look good on the photo, or shall we design building that people actually feel good inside the building? And sometimes you have to sacrifice it. So I think a successful lighting design depends on how you look. You want to create an award-winning project, or you want people to live within, or how say, to interact with that space, really enjoy it. I think we are more on the later statement, right?
Yeah, we have the other question. In the Huế project, for project where lighting is not the part of the construction plan, how do you and your team handle the installation? Because many times I see buildings that are beautifully lit from far, but look messy, upload with the lighting string everywhere.
I think that's part of the job as well. So you're not only designing a beautiful look of building, but you have to deal with how to realize, how to run the cable, how to not destroying the artifact, how to hide the light source. At daytime going to be exposed, or you're designing a beautiful hotel. You don't want your light to be pop up somewhere. It need to be blended with the interior. History building, you don't want to drill the hole onto the wall. It's 1,000 years old wall, for example. I think that's part of the job. So it look, beautiful on the render, but in behind the scene, there's a lot of work. We need to go to the site, we need to survey, we need to see the feasibility of, how we do this. So we have a lot of great idea, but cannot do, because also to respect the architecture and have to preserve the current site. Right?
So I think we're running out of time, and this is a last question. So there are projects you dream of the designing the lighting for?
I think it's a bit difficult to answer the question. I think every project have this all kind of dynamic on it. If we are a passionate design, we always find beauty and passion, inspiration everywhere. I think not all the project that we design, we love it. We live with it, right? I think dream project for me is not real. It's what you're doing right now, right?
I think the last one, but one more coming. So, okay. How are you building your team? What are important factors of successful lighting design studio? I think this is hard question.
I may share with you a secret. We have a secret. We have a magic kind of formula how to recruit people or how to train people. That is a quote from Einstein. Nothing to do with design. It's physics, right? And he say creativity is intelligent having fun. So I keep saying, you know, people ask me like, oh, I'm looking for people, say that, what kind of people you want? I say I want people intelligent and having fun. Yeah, I think intelligent meaning that you think carefully, you look at things thoughtfully, you know, you do a proper research, you do a proper study, you know, and then fun is mean passionate about it. I find fun to do this, right? So I think that's enough to say that is the perfect people we're looking for. It's very simple, but very difficult.
Is it easy or hard to find?
It's very hard to find. You know, Einstein only one. Sometimes intelligent, but not very fun.
Sometimes fun, but not intelligent. Right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
any question in the audience here for our speaker? Yeah.
Was there a favorite project between historical and versus a new contemporary? Is there a favorite for your projects that you showed?
I think both of projects have that kind of like say dynamic to draw you in. For example, the project we do in the Middle East is with Armani, you know, everything black, everything black, material black, no seamless. There's nothing to lit up. So we start thinking, what, how we lit this up, you know? And we cannot mount anything on anywhere, you know, the seamless surface, polish thing. You have to cannot mount a fixture there. So another challenge. So think, you know, what can we do with this kind of material? You know, we have to think about material, we have to think about detail, and we need to. And then I look at like Armani Yacht, Armani Design, Armani Clothes, Armani Store, you know, all this kind of thing. And then it's give me another kind of understanding, knowledge. Like this Imperial Palace, and we look at old archive, look at how they live in the past, what kind of lantern they have, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So I think all of this give me kind of interesting inspiration. Yeah.
You okay with one more question? I think.
I'm happy.
Okay, the last one, I think. Okay, may I ask whether a designer or architect on living space or living environment have any influence on their design approach? Even though their solution and creative direction and fundamental right by principle of harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity.
Yeah, I think everyone have their own reference, and let's say you need to appreciate the locality, the local context, right? So I maybe recall one question. One story. I was studying in the UK, and you know, it's famous for red bus, everything red bus, red telephone booth, you know. And then in Vietnam, we come back, it's tropical country, you know, we don't have red bus. There was a question saying, asking me, you know, what do you think if we have a red bus here? I think you can answer that. If we have a bus painting red in Singapore, how it's going to be look like? And then, you know, you come to England, you see it's misty, gray sky, everything gray. And the red bus look amazing. But here is everything is colorful, it's warm, it's, you know, it's lively. And I think the red bus too much. So yeah, I think every places have this old beauty and also have this old kind of inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're run out of time, so we will have to end our event tonight. So if you are interested in future events like this, please check out the AIA International website for future event announcement and speaker. So again, great thanks to Dr. Thanh and audience around the world. Goodbye and see you in next event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, AIA, and thank you the audience for listening to my my story about lighting architecture. So hope to see you again.